Hello friends, I'm DragoNate. Welcome to another DragoNate Reading Your Answers video. Last week I asked you, I forget what the question was. Oh yeah, what's the worst injury you ever got? You guys answered and I'll be reading your answers in this video, but before we get started, we need a new question for this video. And this is going to be a repeated one because last year on, I think it was February 19th or something? February 12th or 19th or something. This is somewhere around there. The question I asked then was, how is your life different today than it was 1 year ago? Well, it's been another year, so how is your life different now than what it was last year? So yes, let's take a look at how things are different for you personally compared to a year ago. Leave your answers in the comments below and I'll read them next week. Now, let's see what your answers were for this week. So Mom says she has a few stitches a few times. She's had stitches a few times, fell lots with bruising, but I think the worst would be when I fell in the kitchen. Trying to get up, my ankle popped 3 times and really hurt. I couldn't walk on it without it hurting for over a week. It was Christmas Eve, so no work for a week as well, which was actually kind of a good thing in that case. With that one, I remember that happening. That was during a time I was live streaming Skyrim, and I think, thankfully, sort of, in this case, no one was watching at that time, or barely anyone anyway, because Mom came home early, and I heard a noise, you know, I heard the door open, felt the door close and all that, and then I heard a loud noise, and I'm like, oh, what was that? So I left to go check and realized Mom was on the floor trying to get back up, and she couldn't. I had to help her get back up, and as she did, her ankle popped 3 times. And yeah, she could barely walk on it for a week. So that was really, really good. Sarcasm, of course. Dude Beatbox's worst injury he ever had was fracturing his wrist. That does not sound very fun at all. I think I would prefer carpal tunnel to fracturing my wrist. Then again, I don't really know if either would be very good. Carpal tunnel can require surgery. Fracturing your wrist probably just means don't use it much for a couple months. T. Lisa was a kid on the teeter-totter, and the girl she was playing with jumped off while she was as far up in the air as possible. Both bottom legs, the bones were cracked. Very fun. I can imagine that being pretty horrible at that time. My friends and I used to fool around doing that kind of thing with the teeter-totter, but never when we're up as you know, the highest you can possibly be. We would never jump off at that time, but we would do that. But we would each know what the other's gonna do, and like it was a mutual thing. We knew it was happening, so we could be ready for it. But yeah. Mitsu says I haven't lived long enough to actually get injured, which may be a good thing in some ways, at least not to get seriously injured. There are 2 cases of which I can't tell the worst one, either dislocating my femur from hip bone or stepping on this big rusty needle in the forest. Well, dislocating, I've never told any of you guys about this, but I broke the metacarpal in here a long time ago. Not a long time ago, a couple of years ago, actually, a few years ago. I think, but before I started YouTube, that's for sure. And when that happened, I wasn't totally sure. The doctor wasn't totally sure, and I wasn't totally sure whether it was a broken bone or whether it was actually the knuckle that was dislocated. I can tell the story in more depth another time, but thankfully, it was just the broken bone, because he was saying that a dislocated knuckle would be worse, as it would require surgery, and it would be a lot more painful probably. But dislocating hip bone from femur, I'm not sure what that would be like, honestly. And DLT Dav Vandal says I haven't been hurt badly much, which is good. Probably falling on gravel when running was my worst, and he says it was not just his hands. One of his knees had a massive cut literally down his whole leg, so that's definitely no good. Obviously you're fine from that now, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. And that's it for you guys' answers. Mine was, I guess I kind of already, no, actually, no. I was going to say it was probably the breaking of the bone here, but this actually wasn't too bad. This hurt like heck. It was the first broken bone I ever had, and it took about 6 months to fully heal. Again, I'll tell the story in detail another time maybe. But I think the worst one I ever had was my shoulder. I ended up injuring my shoulder while I was training one day. Went to do a roll, coming from height, falling from some height, not that high. I've gone much higher before. And I did the roll properly. No, you did the roll stupidly, you dingbat. Because I rolled kind of straight down, which was stupid of me. Instead of reaching outwards, I went straight down, so my shoulder went straight into the floor. And as soon as that happened, I felt and heard a pop, a loud pop, and I knew that I had hurt myself. And I felt no pain for the first minute. It took a minute for any pain to show up, but I already knew that I hurt myself pretty badly, and I was expecting it to be broken or something, and I couldn't stop crying. My friend couldn't even pull my hands. I had my hands covering my face like this, and my friend couldn't even pull my hands away. So yeah. But now there's like a permanent slightly raised bump here, whereas the other shoulder does not have that. So I'm gonna have that forever, but no lasting damage or conditions or anything because of it, so that's good, at least. And that is it for this week and for this question, so thank you all so much for your participation again. Don't forget your question this week, which is once again a repeat of last year. How is your life different today than it was a year ago? Leave your answers in the comments below and I'll read them next week. And that is it, so I'll see you soon. Bye bye and God bless.